Good morning. How is everybody this morning? Woo! Okay, we just want to thank Benjamin and Mike for the music this morning. They're going to talk a little bit about why they're here.
Sure. Hey, well, we figured while we're up here, might as well get our commercial in, huh? My name is Ben Warner. This is Michael Turnbow, and we are an acoustic duo. We play for a bunch of weddings. We play for business events, and I'm also a DJ, and we do full sound and lighting, so we can do an acoustic intro for your party and then an epic dance party with lighting. And we're here because Chris Foster asked us to be, and he's pretty nice. So.
Thank you. Okay, so again, welcome to 1 Million Cups. Who's here for the first time? Raise your hand. Welcome. We are a weekly entrepreneurial community, and we have two presenters that will present for 6 minutes, and then we will open it up first to our panel and then to the audience for Q&A. So if you have a question for one of the companies that is presenting, please raise your hand and we will come around with a mic. My name is Courtney. I'm one of your community organizers along with Stephanie, Zach, and then we have a new face that is joining us this week. So please welcome Luke Wade.
Hi guys, I'm Luke Wade. Multitude of things I'm involved in. I used to work at VML. I actually started a rec league for some adult friends about 4 years ago. Last year we had 4,000 people play. It's called KC Crew. We do a lot of big events, so now I do that full time. Come here every week, love 1 Million Cups, and happy to be a part of it.
Welcome to the team. We would also like to welcome our expert panel for this week. So Ben and Grant, would you please introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Ben Cottrell, one of the founders of DoodleKit, which is the easiest way for a small business to create a website. I'm also a technical advisor for a few startups in the area, and I have a column on Startland News called WTF, Words That Frustrate.
My name is Grant Gooding, founder of a company called Proof Positioning, where we position brands by knowing, not guessing. I have a background in mergers and acquisitions, and I don't know, whatever.
You're an inspiration.
I also would like to give a little plug for Ben because he won International Small Business of the Year last week at the KC Chamber. So congrats to Ben. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our first presenter, Seek Edgar.
Well, good morning. Thanks, Courtney and Kaufman Foundation for inviting me and giving this opportunity to share my work with you all. My name is Raj Srivastava, and I'm one of the very strange individuals. You can see a PhD in physics, quantum physics. What I'm doing here, I was professor in Canada, overworked as a physicist and underpaid, and got into a wrong company, a right company. A lot of my friends with engineering background, they were business professors, and they kept bugging me that, well, if I went and got an accounting degree, they will pay me twice as much and I will have a lot of fun. It didn't excite me, but it went on for several years. Finally, I decided maybe I should try. Well, I went to Oklahoma, got my PhD in accounting, and I was told that, well, Q is a very good school, but a very tough school to get tenure. Guess what? I'm here for 34 years. So that was my second life. Third life is what I'm doing here. I became Ernst & Young professor, distinguished professor in '95, and that's when the internet was becoming popular. I felt like, well, why not we do something with the internet, use the power of internet and create some analytics for especially accountants and auditors. I invited the world leaders, and they came to KU. We spent 3 days just brainstorming. Third day, an idea was born that why not we get the SEC database annual reports, quarterly reports, and parse the balance sheet, income statement, and populate that in Excel spreadsheet for analytical tools. Well, we were able to do that within a few years. Then we are doing some custom work for our colleagues that they will say, well, Raj, can you give me all the companies that have mentioned certain issues in the footnote? So we'll tweak the program and get the data and give it to them for research. Our School of Business server was not that great, but it will take a couple of days to process it and get them the data. Then someone said, well, why do we have to come to you? Why don't you develop something that we search the system and get what we want? Well, being in the university environment, I think is one lucky part is that you get to really work with very bright young people. So I had some couple of very bright kids working for me. I said, well, why not we do this? Let's change this whole thing and make it more interactive and see how we can get the data. Well, in one summer, we put the effort and got it ready. I then filed my research to KU. And KU, you might know that every university has a division now they call technology transfer, or right now they call it University of Kansas Innovation and Collaboration Center. So they look at the idea and see if there's a business opportunity, why not we provide to help. And so they saw this idea and they said, well, Raj, I think this seems like something that could be a business idea, why not we help you? So they provided some resources, made me in touch with the electrical engineering department at KU, and at that time we had a world-class text parser at University of Kansas, Susan Gouch. In fact, her students worked for Google, and one of the, actually the person who started Google Earth was her student. And you might know, I mean, when initially Google Earth started, it started from Lawrence, Kansas, because he was from Lawrence. So we got together, decided during summer, hired a PhD student in computer science, took all our ideas and script everything and programmed it in a world-class, high-efficient, effective way. We had it for several years on the website because it was so good that you can get tens of thousands of hits in seconds. Means you're looking for any information in any of these filings, but it was only a research concept. A couple of companies came. One company was so excited. He was an entrepreneur. He felt like, he said, Raj, I'm coming for 1 week and I will not leave until I get the license for both products. So we had two products. One was the initial, we call it Frank, just financial reporting auditing agent. Just get the information, parse it, and put it in Excel spreadsheet for analytical tools. The other one is search engine, that you search with phrases, with words, with all these queries, and you get the information. Well, I guess he spent 2 years, didn't put a single penny to develop it. His consultants advised him that, well, you are competing with big players, Morningstar, LexisNexis, CompassStat, and a few others. He walked out. Other company also walked out. 3 years back, I felt that I'm going to retire very soon. All this effort we have done is going to just go waste. I decided I will take the challenge and then see what happens. So I went to KU, give me the license. I will put my resources and see what you can do. Nobody was in favor of me getting into that kind of situation. My family felt like I'm going crazy. I'm going to waste all my retirement money to compete with a billion-dollar company. I said, well, I can live on my Social Security, so don't worry. Guess what? First year it was so good, but it still was a research concept. I had some 13 universities subscribe it. Second year we got some more time to develop it. We got a lot more data. Now we were ready to openly disclose it. It's still, I think that's what I see today, is still because of the lack of name recognition, brand name, or nobody even tried the free access. I sent to all my friends at top schools. Nobody had time even to click on it. A professor from University of Chicago was visiting Kansas, After his presentation, I pulled him aside. I said, why don't you come to my room and let's spend 10 minutes and show you something I have been doing. After the demonstration, he said, Raj, I think there are some colleagues at University of Chicago that they will love to have it. He goes back to Chicago, tells some other colleagues. Guess what? One of the professors called me and said, Raj, how do you compare your product with so and so and so and so? I said, well, why not you have the free access and you decide. I have not done formal study, but what I hear from my users, they say it is better than their product. After 1 week, calls me and says, Raj, we are going to subscribe it. So let's see. So it is really Google for SEC site. That's what basically it is. And it is better than that because we can structure the search in a way that you get exactly what you want, no unnecessary information. So here is, and this is statement. I really appreciate working with CCADGR. The flexibility and speed of both the search engine and customer service has made data collection easier and more thorough. I think the point is easier and more thorough. They have access to everything in the world. They got LexisNexis, they got Morningstar, they got data analytics, all the software providers and database providers. The next line, even more interesting, finding examples for my financial statement class is also a pleasure. The reason is that you get the result in 10 seconds, 5 seconds. So in the classroom also, you can demonstrate and ask questions, and they can search and immediately get the result. So basically, there are 4 dimensions of CCADGR. Dimension 1 is search. So you can search any issue in any company in a matter of seconds. We have 14 million filings and 20 million documents all on the cloud, and I will show you when we get time. Second is obtain data. And so this means exact precisely, if you want compensation data, you want audit committee data, you want any concern like who is the CEO and also serving as the chairman of the board of directors, which is not really allowed for public companies, but there are companies that do that. Just put that structure, chief executive officer and chairman of the board of directors. Bang, in 5 seconds you get all the names. There was one person hand collecting data, so that was the issue. People were spending so much time to hand collect data. So one professor came to know about it. He says, well, I spent several months, I got few hundred hand collected data. How many companies are there that have chairman serving as, CEO serving as the chairman of the board of directors? I told him, let's structure that, put this in a phrase and see what happens. In few seconds, he got 6,000 hits. They are our customers. So the lack of name has been one issue. So what I have been doing, I'm visiting most of the places. I went to Michigan State, showed them. They are our customer now. But now it is slowly spreading. So third dimension is perform text analytics. That is a big deal now. You may be familiar. You can develop models, fraud, risk related. Numbers, financial numbers may not tell you the full story, because sometimes it looks as good as the real company. But if somebody is defrauding, the way they mention things in the management discussion or other places, people have developed models, text analytics, counting the type of words and sentences, and then develop a model, and they are predicting fraudulent behavior more accurately than the financial numbers. Not only one. You can have models like risk assessment, litigation risk, business risk, all different kinds of things. Not only that, there is an example here, competition. The University of Chicago professor measured a competition perceived by the CEO by how often they mention word related to competition. So you can count that, divide that by the total number of words, and you have a metric. And I'll show you that as so there are a lot more opportunity doing research like that. And that is where right now some of the universities, they are calling now and say, Raj, what is your price? How can we take it? Pricing has also been a challenge for me because I'm being a university professor, I never had to deal with it. I was getting so many confusing, a kind of a message. Well, some says give it free for 6 months. Some people say, well, you have to price it where your competition is. So like Compass said, $50,000. LexisNexis maybe $75,000. There is a platform from Wharton School, just a platform. So you subscribe their platform where they integrate all these different database bases. I said, well, if I say it is $50,000, nobody is going to touch it. And so I decided, all right, no, I will give some package and give 50% off. And so I think that is going well. So 50% off, they like it. The fourth dimension is download. So you can then, because that is something with the researchers, they want to download everything for analysis. So we built now automatic. So everything on the cloud, entire database, 14 million filings, 20 million documents, all on the cloud, but they wanted to download. So we developed that scheme, so it's all automated. You first search your thing, you want to download 10,000 companies, type it in, send it, system will process it, send you email, and give a link. So minimum human interaction. I want to show you some things, and maybe University of Chicago has been very kind to me because they provided inputs. They say, Raj, why not to add earnings announcements? That is not available easy. So we did that. They say shareholders letters. So we did that. So a lot of input in terms of what the users want. The University of let's say Michigan State said we want disclosures related filings. So we added that. So we have put, Then exciting part is now people want international data. So University of Chicago, one professor, Hans Christensen, said, why not you add European data, because this kind of tool is not available for European data. Even he sent me the link. So we have all this by country. Then Indian universities, some of them, one of the top institutions, IIM Bangalore, Indian Institute of Management. He said, Raj, this is so wonderful, but can you do it for Indian data? So it's just a matter of now time. I said, well, I need some breathing time. Once I have established within the US, it's a matter of time. You can get the data. Some data is not automated. SEC is automated. But European data, Indian data, you have to go and pick one by one. Well, it's not a big deal. I can have a lot of students or somebody sit there a whole day and just download one by one. In a month or 2 months, we can do it. But I want to just go slow. So with that, I think a conference call, again, that was one. So we have earnings and announcements and conference calls every 20 minutes updated. And that was for the analyst market. I have not yet gone there, ventured into that, because I feel like there's a niche here. People have been putting so much effort to hand collect data, and this becomes a tool for us to survive. The next phase is, once we have developed it, which really has been good.
Dr. Raj, I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to make sure that we have time for questions.
Yes,
I think we want to go ahead and open it up to the panel here, and then a couple questions there, and we'll get it out to the crowd.
I think this is a good time.
Dr. Raj, thank you. I suppose with a PhD in physics and accounting, you're most certainly the most detail-oriented person in this room, and maybe the zip code. And we need to get this to work.
Yes.
Because you have to have student loans still with 2 PhDs. So here's, we can kind of tell how your brain works when you're presenting this, right? And so there's a know your audience rule here, right? Because a lot of us are trying to struggle to go, okay, well, who's the target audience? So it looks as though colleges, universities is your target market, yes?
Right now.
Right now, okay. You wrote here, cloud-based search engine for financial or non-financial information from companies' filings worldwide using Boolean logic and multiple words and multiple phrases, including articles and prepositions. So I'm fairly worldly, but I have no idea what the hell that means. Yes. So I'm sure that there is a very specific segment of people that know exactly what that means, right? And a lot of this is query stuff, right? Like using Boolean phrases and stuff like that. So it's a query-based engine that's, it reminds me of LexisNexis and stuff like that. So make sure that we know that. right? That this isn't for the population,
Yes.
right? Is all the data that you're gathering by hand? It sounds like you're gathering most of this by hand, yes? No?
All automated.
It's all automated, okay. And so this SEC filing information is public record, yes?
Yes.
So is Morningstar or LexisNexis or Google, or, I imagine that they have the ability to tie into a government API that's going to allow them to access that information as well. So how do you plan on being able to overcome those people who have huge market shares and networks already?
Yeah, I think building the special features for the users has been the advantage. Because I think once you go after the bigger market, means you may, since you have a big name, you may not really care to see specific needs for a smaller segment. And so we found that a lot of people didn't get what they want, especially for researchers. If you get the cooked up data, like you have created the database, like CompusStat or LexisNexis, say they have all the elements that they want. They think you want, but you may not be really using that, needing it. You may be looking for all the companies that have mentioned we may never be profitable, and still they are surviving many years. So you want to know why are they and how they are surviving this, and who are they. So you put in our system, we may never be profitable. Bang, in 10 seconds you got hundreds of companies that are saying that. So you will like to know now, why is this company, who are they that they are surviving, even though publicly they are saying that we will never be profitable. That's the kind of things. It's just not available.
So you have one of those interesting problems in entrepreneurship where you have a cool product that does a lot of things, and so how do you communicate that in one macro statement, right? It seems to me that based on what you're presenting, that might be your biggest problem. It's being able to succinctly communicate. And it's going to be, actually, your brain doesn't work like that either, right? Because you're down in the weeds figuring out problems that we don't even know are problems yet. So it's going to be probably a challenge for you personally to go, okay, how do I communicate this succinctly and simply in a way that doesn't require
Right.
this,
Well, yes.
right? That's all I had right now.
So I'm curious where the value is at this point. Where you perceive the value is it in your technology, or is it in your data, or is it in your features, or is it a combination of both? Is the technology still cutting edge? Because the search technology, there's a lot of open source, very very nice frameworks out there now.
So the technology is the one that most of it is our technology. KU technology started, and then we have added a lot of our own thoughts into it and develop it. So the technology one part. And then trying to create the search criteria where you can precisely pick what you want. That is not available in the open domain. It is our ideas again. And how you take that information and put into Excel spreadsheet. There are tools available, but there are a lot of problems, and we had to refine on it to make it much better. So suppose you want to look at compensation data. Compensation data being used for all different kinds of purposes, looking at how compensation changes in a given company or how it changes from one industry to another industry for competitive advantages. Well, you cannot get right now compensation data, a database. So you can collect by hand. Here you will see by structuring the search, like it is in a table, and I have, based on the requests I have been getting, I just look at some tables and say salary and bonus within 2 words. Then you get entire database of tables that I can download in Excel. It's not available. So the word of mouth and the social network is working, because people now calling me. I had calls from University of Georgia, then Yale, and Harvard also, because one professor used our system, and she says, Raj, I think it's so good. I will persuade Harvard to look at it, and Harvard is looking at it, and then she is moving to BYU, and she will be getting there. So it's word of mouth. Yes, I know it is a very complex system now, but we want to make it as friendly, as efficient as possible for users, and I hope that the social network will help us get where we want to go. Already few papers have been published in the top journals, and they also acknowledge that 100% data was obtained from CCADGR. So those are the things that will help. But yes, I think if this audience, definitely it makes sense to have it some punchline that all here it is. And the punchline was that, well, it is a Google for SEC site. That's what I feel. I didn't want to say it openly because I don't know what will be the legal implication if I say that this is Google, but it is a Google technology in a way, but much more improved in terms of the search criteria. So thank you all for the suggestions. I think that's the challenge I have. But now, since having now recognition schools like University of Chicago, and these schools are aware of the technology. So when they access it, I have made the entire site free, except don't allow them to download. And so they can compare. They have access to Morningstar. They have access to all these they have already subscribing. So I say, all right, you evaluate it, and that is being more effective. Although we have done our own study, but I think if I give the customer the choice that you evaluate it and let me know, I think that is working. And you will be surprised, all these new things is just only 3 weeks old. I have not even sent the message to everybody. Those who have come to know through just the social network, they are contacting me that, yes, Raj, can you tell us the price? Can you show us how it works? So hopefully.
All right, Dr. Raj, we got a question in the back for you here.
Yes.
I didn't catch your whole speech, but you say all the universities are looking at this. Is there something in the analysis that you can use that's predictive that will say, yes, this company is going to be profitable? I would think a lot of college universities, in terms of their endowment fund, are looking at that. And if you can use that to predict that based on bonuses, based on this, based on the change of a preposition or verb or noun, whatnot, that that's predictive of that type of situation?
Not yet. There are models that are being built by these researchers. That is where this is going to be useful. But we have planned that next step will be to add those models into our system, like text analytics. Some of you may be aware there are what they call it fog index, sentiment analysis, management discussion analysis. Depending on positive words and negative words, you can compute a composite number which tells you the sentiments of the management discussion analysis. We have all the ingredients. We have the number of words, we have number of sentences, and the positive and negative words. What we need is add that one and put the metric called sentiment measure. We have already added the 6 metrics of what they call fog index that measures how complex the presentation is, the disclosure is. That is already implemented. But the next phase will be to add those graphics and models into the system because the basic ingredient is there. So we were busy trying to develop the basic ingredients, especially for the market that we recognize that there's a niche. Let's get them and then do it.
All right, I got one more in the middle
you.
here.
Yeah.
How you doing, Doctor? My name is Holmes Osborne. I own a money management company here in Kansas City, and my partner and I spend $25,000 a year on Bloomberg. And I've used little services like this, but the only problem with them is that they're slow and they bog me down. And the nice thing about Bloomberg is you just push a button and you go from screen to screen to screen to screen just like that. So I can look at 4 or 5, 10 companies a day. How fast does this thing move?
Can I show it? Yes. Yes, I think that's the beauty. That's the beauty. I want to show you. I may have to log in again because I was not using it for some time. Okay, just something like legal domain. Attorneys really search for some litigation issues, jury verdict, and things like that. So that's another application. The attorneys can use it to help clients or even find new clients. So let's see. I will put litigation. Just litigation word. Yeah. No, okay. No, but I'm just showing the example. I think what will be your search criteria? Just tell me. Anything you want to look at? IBM. And what else? Oh, I see. Okay, IBM. Now this one is saying, well, so it will go through the entire document of 20 million documents and find wherever IBM is. Is that what you want? Okay. Do you want just the annual reports or you want everything? Just the annual report. Okay. Here is that. Okay. Now there are 22 years data, 94 to 2016. Do you want all of that or just 1 year? Last 3 years. Okay, last 3 years. Okay. And what's your time?
Here are the guys with the violin still here.
Okay. How many seconds did it take? 1804. Now look here what we have. It shows where the word appears, the snippets. You can increase and decrease that. On the right hand side has a lot of other useful information in the same 8 seconds. Total number of words, total number of sentences in that document. And for that document, all the fog index. See, that means the complexity of what they're doing. So the one thing that needs to be added is the sentiment number, which we are working on. Probably it will take a couple of weeks to just get it done. So that will be the entire text analytics.
All right, he's
Did
got
it help?
It was quick. So now the last question, the big one. What can we do as a community to help you?
Well, you know that as the panel members mentioned that, I'm a physicist. Of course, I'm very detail oriented. So one is in terms of identifying the opportunities. I mentioned there that it is good for financial analysts, it's good for attorneys, it's good for consultants, it's good for individual executives, and of course the university researchers, all different dimensions. So the basic ingredient is ready for all these different dimensions. Right now, since I have identified a problem in the real world, in the university environment, and that is going well, so we can survive. But I want some partnership, not necessarily money, because a few years back when I started 3 years back, because of the competition, when I presented to any group, they say, well, you have to do market study, you have to do this, you have to do this. I said, well, I don't have resources to do that. We will just see. Now people are saying, well, if you put X amount of money, what percent of company you will give? I said, well, there's no need of money. Why not? I want to develop it and market it. Maybe there is some market relationship, some kind of a relationship that take this thing and take off. First, with my age, I don't think that I should be involved in that. I wanted to show the value of this product, and I have shown it now. Now, the next step will be, there are many different ways we can go. One is go slow the way we are going and progress it within a couple of years. That will be great. Other is go big and just compete with the big players directly. So that's where it is. So I think some guidance in terms of what will be the best way to go for it. My aim was to show the value in the product, and I have been able to show it, and now also bring the credibility, having universities like Chicago and Harvard and Yale call and find out. I think that shows the value, except it needs now polishing, it needs all the bar and chart and graph, which we can do it. It's not a big deal because the basic ingredient is there. Okay, so that's where I would.
All right, so any UI, UXers out there, come find them after. Thank you, Dr. Raj.
Thank you.
All right, so we're running a couple behind, so I'm going to defer my job to you today. The announcement sheets are in the back, and I hope that you're all literate. So go grab one, take a read. The one thing that I will take a second to plug really quick is Beta Blocks Demo Day, Monday, June 20th. This is one of the biggest things that happens in Kansas City entrepreneurship. So if you got some time, I would definitely, even if you don't have some time, cancel something, make it down there. It's worth the time. And then I want to make, so this is 2 weeks away, but I want to make it clear that this is happening. So on June 15th, 1 Million Cups is taking a field trip across Rock Hill to UMKC. We're going to be at the Block School in the new Block Executive Hall, the beautiful $30 million building that Mr. Block donated. And we'll just kind of be doing the same exact thing, but we'll be doing it there. So 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So I'll remind you guys again, and don't show up there next week, or else we'll have to come find you. And the really exciting part, what we've all been waiting for. Show of hands, who has been to 1 Million Cups 10 times or more? All right, keep them up if you are not part of the Mug Club already. Still up? Mary in the back. Mary Moeller. I don't think I know who you are, but yeah, there you are. So why do you come to 1 Million Cups? Tell us everything.
So I've been coming to 1 Million Cups practically since it started. It's a great place to come and meet other entrepreneurs, and I love seeing all of the people that come up and speak. It's just a great place. I look forward to it every Wednesday.
Well, it's wonderful to have you. Thank you, and enjoy the mug. All right. We're going to move on through and bring on up Pawdentify.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Have fun, Doug.
Appreciate that. Good morning. My name is Doug Danforth. I'm an alumnus presenter. I presented last March, although under the name Linxit. So we've changed a bunch of things, including our brand. One reason I was especially excited to be here today after Courtney invited me is that we are launching our next products today on Kickstarter. And these are some of the products that are available starting today on Kickstarter. Before I show the video that's featured on our brand new Kickstarter webpage, I thought I'd summarize the 7-year-long road that took us to this moment in time today. I'm a former banker, MBA, Master's of Accounting, did a hard right turn in 2009. I had the idea from my own dogs and the difficulty I had attaching their tags to create a better pet ID tag connector. Our aim was to replace the metal ring that nobody we've ever spoken to says they love. Formed the entity in 2010, spent the next 4 years developing prototypes, putting the team together, obtaining intellectual property protection, patents and trademarks in the US and 7 other countries. We launched 9 different colors of our connector that's pictured here, called Linxit. In 2013. 2014 was a big year. We began to obtain market validation. We won an award, Becker's Best, one of the top 10 new products in the Global Pet Expo in 2014. We were a finalist in Martha Stewart's American Made competition. But more important than that, more important than the panelists, the experts, is the hundreds and hundreds of positive consumer reviews we have about Linxit. But our customers asked for more. They said, we don't want to have to come one place for a connector, one place for a tag. Our customers began to complain about, as they had the metal split ring, they complained about the engraved metal tag that is very hard to read, not attractive, wears out over time. So our customers gave us the idea in 2014 to create a better tag as well as a better connector. As well, we got reports from our customers that in some very extreme cases, a customer of ours in Colorado runs his dogs 4 hours a day in Colorado. He sent me pictures of a Linxit that had some wear in it. So we went back to the drawing board and improved upon that. And here we are today, launching Linxit made with Kevlar. DuPont's partnered with us from the inception, and Kevlar is an amazing addition to our already, I believe, a well-reviewed product, and then some new tag designs. So hopefully this works. We can launch the video. Whoops.
Just go
Okay. Terrific. So this is our page on Kickstarter, podentify.com/Kickstarter. This will feature my daughter, who you'll see for obvious reasons is the lead spokesperson on this. So I'm a finance, accounting, and frustrated mechanic. My daughter, until formerly, was an associate brand manager at a little company called Johnson & Johnson, first on Tylenol and then on Zyrtec. And this whole look and feel and messaging is a function of a younger, more feminine, sort of more comparable to our customer in the case of beloved dogs and cats.
It's really important to have the pet ID because it's really important to have that reassurance so that you're not always worried about, what would happen if she got lost.
It is really important to me because in case someone found him, then they would know where he lives. And if I lost him like that, I would just be devastated.
ID is so important to protect the pets we love. At Podentify, our mission is to keep more pets safe by making ID that works and looks good.
The idea came from our 3 dogs, Atticus, Marley, and Molly. Changing their tags and moving tags between collars was hard, and their tags were hard to read. Our team of veterinarians and product designers has worked to create the best pet ID solution in the world.
We have a tag, and we also have a connector called Linksit with Kevlar. Podentify tags are made of a high-tech, renewably sourced polymer rather than metal. You can easily read important ID information. The designs and text are permanent and will never fade or wear off over time. We also wanted to make ID that looks good, so we have all sorts of fun designs that you can choose from for your pet. Our tags are also more comfortable for pets. They're a third the weight of metal tags, are quiet, don't have sharp edges, and won't stain a pet's neck. What good is a great tag if it comes with one of those metal rings that's hard to use or that tags fall off of? That's why we're also creating Linksit with Kevlar.
Kevlar is a fiber invented by DuPont that is used in bulletproof vests. When we add Kevlar to Linksit, it becomes even tougher.
You can change a tag in seconds without breaking your nails or needing tools. Linksit with Kevlar can also hold multiple tags, so add your rabies, license, and microchip tags to your new ID. So we launched Linksit 2 years ago with a different material composition, and it worked great. We've sold thousands of units and have hundreds of positive consumer reviews. So Linksit without Kevlar was a great product. But we worked with DuPont and learned that we could add Kevlar to Linksit to make it even better, even more durable.
We made dozens of prototypes of our tags and connectors in various sizes, shapes, and of various materials. Then we tested them extensively both in the laboratory and on our pets in the field.
To test durability, Kansas State University vibrated Podentify tags between 2 engraved metal tags at 100 to 200 vibrations per second. Because there was no wear, they concluded that the design and ID are permanent. Kansas State also tested durability by swinging tags back and forth on Linksit with Kevlar 10 million times. Linksit with Kevlar still worked perfectly. We are a father-daughter duo on a mission to keep pets safe. ID's the first line of defense. Within seconds, someone can read an ID and figure out where the pet's home is.
We have completed prototypes and testing of Podentify tags and Linksit with Kevlar.
Upon reaching our Kickstarter goal, we will begin production immediately. Now all we need is
your support. Thank you. I'm sorry?
Select the PowerPoint on the bottom with the mouse.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. appreciate it.
You just had to pause for applause, really, was all that was.
Great. All right. Thank you. All right. So Courtney wanted me to maybe attempt to impart some of the lessons that we've learned over this quite long, 7-year-long journey. And I have more than I could speak to in this short period of time, so I'll speak to 3. 1, having a product idea is easy. The idea is easy. I had the idea in a day. I hated changing my dog's tags. I said, this has got to change. It took me 4 months to have the guts, if you will, to move forward, quit my day job, and take this on full time. And then, as I mentioned, 4 years for our first product. Thank goodness 2 for our second, having leveraged the experience that we gained, the contacts we gained, manufacturing materials, etc. This, by the way, is an injection molding machine. We make both the tags and our Linksit connector through an injection molding process. Highly efficient, highly scalable, not labor intensive, therefore we can make these products in the US. Everything's US made. 2, you must adapt. That may be a generous word, adapt. We started, as I mentioned, the idea was to replace a metal ring with Linksit. However, in retrospect, there's no real precedent for a new connector taking the world by storm. So I concluded a connector was necessary but not sufficient to be the foundation for a hopefully leading global iconic brand in this small but important and not branded, not differentiated space. So this is, as I like to say, the Midwestern sort of old guys on the left side of this slide, and then my daughter and others have come up with a new brand, Podentify, which we believe is more descriptive, more memorable, more distinctive than Linksit. And our logo, and our logo type, I should say, Podentify is our mission. Our logo is our mission, which is to get ID on pets, because only a third of pets have it. And when pets get lost, they don't have ID, it's bad. And then lastly, without margin, there's no mission. We have to sell, sell, sell. Every time I speak with my contact at DuPont, he says sell, sell, sell. Coincidentally, we are selling through 3 channels. Probably, we'll start with the top, Podentify.com, our own website. We get by far the highest margin when we sell on our website. We gain customer insights. ID wasn't on our radar when we started, but given the fact that every custom ID involves both pet ID information plus contact information, shipping information, the web is a very efficient way to originate this mass customization product. After that, around to the right, third-party retailers, which in a way is Kickstarter. Kickstarter will get our product in front of a younger, hip, male demographic, primarily, that is not necessarily our typical consumer. Our single biggest customer is the Grommet, a website based in Cambridge, Mass. That originates every day a new and innovative product. We were successful. We're one of the top products on the Grommet, and we're looking forward to launching after the Kickstarter campaign on the Grommet, not just the connector, but the full ID solution under Podentify with Kevlar. We're really excited about that. And then last but not least, what I would call our business-to-business focus, which we now call animal health. Animal health is veterinarians, shelters, service dog organizations, and the pharmaceutical and food companies that distribute through that sector. This is a reset since I presented a little more than a year ago. We are now in the process of offering to the left rabies tags, but they're different than the standard tag insofar as the tags include very vivid information, the logos and contact information for a veterinary office, which you could never gain from an engraved metal tag, and then rabies information on the reverse side. There happen to be, in the US alone, 50 million rabies vaccinations administered annually. So what can you do to help? I think after 7 years, certainly since the last time I presented 14 months ago, I believe now we're ready for prime time with the entire solution. We're ready to produce it. So please spread the word. If you want to learn about Kickstarter and crowdfunding, this would be a great example for you to investigate.
All right, thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Round of applause for him real quick. And we're gonna toss it over to Ben Kittrell, it looks like, on our expert panel.
So I'm curious where you are. So are you selling tags now, just not the Kevlar tags, or?
The Kevlar is included in the connector only.
Okay.
I probably should have said that,
Okay.
that the tags, whether they're metal or plastic, wearing on links that are what causes wear. So we just changed the composition
Okay.
of links, not the tags.
But what is the Kickstarter for? Is it are you selling tags, or are you trying to start selling tags?
Right. We have sold on a very limited basis some other designs on Amazon
Okay.
of our tags. We have not yet sold Links It with Kevlar. So the objectives behind this Kickstarter campaign are to fund the manufacture of our first run of Links It with Kevlar.
Okay.
And then designs that we created only for Kickstarter.
Okay.
Some of these.
Well,
are distinctive.
I think it's a great idea. My mind always goes to what can you add to this? What technology can you add to this? And it seems like there are some opportunities, maybe even just having a way to put a URL or something on there that has more information. You know, like you could have all kinds of stuff.
Right.
That a little dog profile or something like that. You look QR code. I'm sure. Kind of already thought about that, but anyway, that's all.
I appreciate it. So the paradigm shift is these tags are imaged rather than engraved in high resolution, 300 DPI. In a year or so, you'll be able to get on our website, upload a photo, QR codes, anything. If you can print it on a piece of paper, you can put it on not one, but both sides of this tag. Thank you.
Hey, Doug. I remember your Links It presentation, right? It's patented, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Very intriguing and sort of revolutionary-esque product where you took a very archaic system and did a 10x style improvement on it, right?
Appreciate that.
So what happened? I'm making the assumption here that sales didn't come easy because you're making and look, a link system isn't sexy, right? However, it's unbelievably functional. And to your point, how many vaccinations were there last year?
50 million.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and so is it? Did you find it difficult? Because I have a feeling if it was easy to get into these markets and get into vet offices and stuff like that, you wouldn't be doing this.
Well, yes. So our sales have been, I would say, in the hundreds of thousands. Not yet millions, which is our objective.
Sure.
You raise an interesting point that the price point of Links It is $8 retail. With Kevlar, it's probably another 10. Price point with a tag is 25. So by having the solution, all of a sudden our price point is 2.5x, plus people on average buy 2.5 because they have multiple pets. So, right. I have a pretty substantial team, about 12 people, 5 companies, and the lawyer of all people on my team said there's no precedent, I think I may have said this, precedent for a tag connector by itself taking the world by storm. People want the solution. People want the combination. And where I'm, I guess, particularly optimistic at this point is that, perhaps for obvious reasons, most consumers see this, they believe that these were made for each other. Of course, I know that the Links It preceded the tag, but it is a system now.
So I get that, right? It's highly logical. My concern is, from an entity perspective, as you're communicating yourself and Pawdentify, is that the real disruptor in the market is the linking system.
That's correct.
and it comes through in little pieces in the presentation. Like, oh, and by the way, this like link thing is actually the really thing that's totally cool.
Right.
Because there's this tag, and the tag might be sexy, but I'm afraid that it could potentially dilute the overall real like kind of competitive advantage you have in the market, if you want to use that term loosely.
Okay. And so I've been to a dozen of the biggest trade shows in the world. This is my observation, Grant. 15% of the population are like me, they're geeks. They see this device that has 100 patent claims. DuPont thinks so highly of it, they featured it in their booth at the world's biggest plastic shows. That is a minority of the population. The larger percentage of the population is a visual, and it's these images, I believe, that grab it. So to be, I guess to respond to your point succinctly, which I'm not really good at doing, I believe that the tags are going to create the occasion for people to bother or to take the time or to invest in purchasing and appreciating the connector. So the connector is necessary but not sufficient because, as my daughter says, if we came up with these tags and you still had to struggle with that archaic metal ring, or if the S-hook is like the second best alternative, I think it would be much less appealing.
All right, we're going to go ahead and open it up. Doug, question over here.
Wow, you just walked into my life. You have a product that there's hundreds of them like at PetSmart, but you can cure a problem I have. I've had big dogs all my life and put them on a leash and you drag them around and the whole bit. All of a sudden now, I have a little bitty dog.
Right.
And you got the collar on, it's got the little silver hook you put your leash to. You put your little deal on there, you put the round thing, and then you got your information thing hanging to it. If you measure from that collar to the tip of that, that's almost 3 inches. My little dog, when I'm dragging it down the sidewalk and it's stopping to smell a bug, the leash is on top of its head, and that metal piece is dangling in her eye.
Right.
You have to get something that we can put on the collar, all your information just as strong, but it won't hit my dog in the eye. I can't put that on the dog because it knock its eye out.
Well, not only that story is not, the story's been heard before. Split rings have been caught in dogs' eyes. So
the thing dangling
right.
from it is the right distance to hit her in the eye.
Right. So there are 5 veterinarians on my team. I didn't mention that. We created together the list of specifications. We had no idea if we could ever achieve this. Compact, lightweight, non-marking, difficult or impossible to stick a leash on this thing by mistake. And by the way, I didn't mention it, but we have this in 2 sizes. We were ready to launch, adding to the 7-year story. We're ready to launch with just this one standard size, 1 1/4 inch diameter. But then our veterinarians, our community veterinarians said, no. There's more diversity in canines than any species on Earth. You got to have a small size for dogs and cats. So we have an inch diameter, and it weighs nothing.
It's not the weight, it's the distance. So I like to have something that straps on the collar, not dangles from the collar, but straps on.
There are those types of solutions. I'll tell you about them.
We can have that conversation afterwards. So Joe has a question up front here.
Yeah.
Congratulations on getting here, and congratulations on your perseverance. I tend to agree with Grant that the Linkset is actually the really innovative thing. I don't know that much about your tag. On the other hand, I think what you have to do is lead with the tag, because that's the thing that people can relate to, even though, because they forget how they jammed their fingers in those pliers or whatever it was when they were trying to get that damned S-hook into place.
Right.
So I think you're on the right track to lead with that, and then they will discover the beautiful functionality of the Linkset. As a geek, I'm just curious about how reasonable the permanency of the markings are. Is this like double injection molded or something?
Well, okay, so I'm not going to tell you exactly, but
okay.
The blanks are injection molded. They're made of a sort of another story, a DuPont material called Sorona, which is renewably sourced. DuPont has spent a lot of money promoting this low carbon plastic alternative. So I use the word image, not printed. They're imaged at high temperatures, as in hundreds of degrees, high pressure. The image is inside the surface of this by 5/1000th of an inch, thickness of a piece of paper. It cannot wear off. It takes 90 pounds to break one of these things in half. I am asked at trade shows, if a dog chews, will it chew this? And my answer is, dogs will chew collars. Dogs will eat metal. I mean, they can chew it. But in the very large number of cases, we're really trying to go to the sweet spot of the mass market. This works. Thank you.
Good stuff. Question right here.
I have two quick ones. One, does your design keep it from making that annoying click when they walk? And then also, you were talking about putting the vaccination on the other side. So then that means you get a new one every year too?
So there are 1-year vaccinations and 3-year vaccinations. And yes, the interesting dynamic of the rabies versus ID is that they're sequentially numbered. They're not customized, so veterinarians will order those 500, 1,000 at a time, and they're replaced every year or every 3 years. So I guess my dream would be to have a Podentify Linksit, a Podentify rabies tag, and a Podentify ID tag on, maybe half of the 70 million canines in the U.S. and then the rest globally.
Doug, you want to go back over the what we can do for you slide real quick, and then we'll give you a round of applause and we'll get out of here.
Okay. There we go. Oops. So, as I said, check out Kickstarter. There's much more information on our webpage. Spread the word. There are postcards on the credenza on the way out that will remind you of the address, but I'll say it again. Podentify.com/Kickstarter.
And Stephanie, are we tweeting that out? We are. It's on the tweeter. All right. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next week, our presenters are Smart Drive Inc. and Matano. I believe both are actually traveling in, one from Omaha and one from Wichita. So we will see you next week. Thanks.